One of the challenges I think camera manufacturers are facing right now is the inroads that are being made by mobile devices, cell phones. Why should a cell phone photographer step up to Fujifilm?
Again, I think that if I said that I didn't use my mobile phone to make pictures when I'm out with my friends, I'd be lying to you, right? I think the goal that we have is to show folks that one of our cameras is a great complement or a great thing to add to the way that they create content. The idea that we're going to displace the mobile phone as a creative tool, I think is a little bit, hubris. I think that we have the most visually literate generation on Earth, right? We are in a current moment where people are making images in a way that I didn't even know we could make images, and they're all we all know what a good image looks like, I think that, however, even though we know what great images look like, we probably could stand to understand how and why they look so good. And as you kind of dive into learning about why images look great and what constitutes, technically speaking, a strong image, then that kind of opens up the door for wanting to sculpt and shape that image a little bit more. And I think as you really want to develop a voice, visually speaking, and you want to be able to create impact with your images, the only way to really do that is with a camera.
What is Fujifilm?
Fujifilm is a global company, and we have businesses in imaging. We've got businesses in optics, even medical. We're pretty broadly diversified across the globe. The two divisions that I manage are electronic imaging, which is essentially our digital camera division and lens division, and optical devices, which is broadcast cinema lenses, binoculars, projectors.
You're differentiating between imaging and optics. What's the difference?
Well, I think that electronic imaging is a category of products that involves our mirrorless digital cameras and the lenses that are associated with them. The optics division is really optical devices, right? So it requires a completely different product plan, product roadmap. Usually they're also cross-vertical too. So there's binoculars, there's CCTV, there's cinema broadcast optics, right? So it's multiple categories and classes of products.
Imaging records the images and optics doesn't?
Well, I think one requires a sensor.
And the other's essentially pure glass.
Yeah.
What have you got that's new?
Well, I think we've recently announced a couple of new cameras. We have XT50, which is brand new to our lineup. It's kind of interesting because it has a film simulation dial on the top of it, and it really is positioned as a camera for creative first type of folks. Our claim to fame is our color and how we produce color and our film simulations. And if you really dive into the Fujifilm ecosystem on the mirrorless camera standpoint, there's a lot of folks out there that love making their own recipes. They'll publish the recipes. We've got great user-led communities like Fuji X Weekly, Fuji Love, for example. Those are two communities that publish recipes for our cameras in terms of adjusting camera settings. On the professional side, we have another camera called GFX 102, and it's our flagship medium format sensor camera. It has incredible video features for a mirrorless camera. It's got 100 megapixels on the still side. It records 4K up to 8K.
I hate to break the news to you, but there's a lot of camera manufacturers out there.
Yeah, there's only one Fujifilm, though. Why
should somebody even consider Fujifilm?
That's a great question. I get asked that question every day in my job, right? I think that the real answer is that I do believe we make the best cameras out there, and we listen to our users. I think that our cameras are uniquely positioned in the industry.
How so?
Lots of cameras out there are full frame. We make a small, compact APS-C camera, and we make a large format, medium format camera.
Medium format meaning?
Meaning larger than full frame, more than full frame. Okay, so in the middle are all these full frame camera systems that by their own right, they get the job done. We look at our camera systems as being complementary to those systems. On the APS-C side, everyone loves our portability. They love the image quality. They love the color. On the GFX side, we have the world's most incredible performing medium format sensor on Earth. It's 100 megapixels. It's got incredible autofocus. The camera bodies that these sensors are in are the most advanced camera bodies for a medium format camera. They're on some of the world's biggest photo production sets now,
Now, why would I use a medium format camera? What's the application?
Well, the sensor size is quite large. So it's 1.7 times larger than your typical full-frame sensor. And so by sheer fact that the imaging surface is larger, you're getting the benefits of better depth of field, more depth of field, better dynamic range, color is reproduced a lot with a lot more fidelity. And I think that the 4:3 aspect ratio, in terms of looking through the viewfinder, honestly, it's different. I think we're so used to looking at a viewfinder or looking at a frame that's really rectangular, and that's like a 3:2, right? When you're looking at the image through a GFX viewfinder, you forget how big those images are.
One of the challenges I think camera manufacturers are facing right now is the inroads that are being made by mobile devices, cell phones. Why should a cell phone photographer step up to Fujifilm?
Again, I think that if I said that I didn't use my mobile phone to make pictures when I'm out with my friends, I'd be lying to you, right? I think the goal that we have is to show folks that one of our cameras is a great complement or a great thing to add to the way that they create content. The idea that we're going to displace the mobile phone as a creative tool, I think is a little bit, hubris. I think that we have the most visually literate generation on Earth, right? We are in a current moment where people are making images in a way that I didn't even know we could make images, and we all know what a good image looks like, I think that, however, even though we know what great images look like, we probably could stand to understand how and why they look so good. And as you kind of dive into learning about why images look great and what constitutes, technically speaking, a strong image, then that kind of opens up the door for wanting to sculpt and shape that image a little bit more. And I think as you really want to develop a voice, visually speaking, and you want to be able to create impact with your images, the only way to really do that is with a camera, right? Whether it's a interchangeable lens camera or a compact camera with a larger sensor that has more features. I think that's, at some point, creatively speaking, you're just going to want to expand your tool set and expand the tools that you use so that you're able to really create the story that you want to create.
Where do you see the market today? Is it high-end professional photographers? Is it sports? Is it people coming into photography for the first time? Where is the market, and is the market growing or holding still or collapsing?
So I manage both sides of our business in terms of high-end motion production and hobbyist photography. So that's a really big question. So let's start with high-end stuff. I think we've seen a major trend towards cinematic live multi-camera. Okay. So in that kind of arena where, live concert, for example, multi-camera live concert, you're going to record a Beyonce or Taylor Swift, and you're going to want to have cinematic, look and feel to it. I see the trend pushing very much that way. That's also pushing into houses of worship where things are just becoming more cinematic. We're seeing it in sports. Okay, we're seeing it mostly in how our Duvo 25-1000 lens is being deployed. In sports, the ability for that lens to create drama and how it rolls off in terms of the background and focus roll off, that's it creates a lot of separation in the background, so you can really storytell that lens, especially in high dramatic fashion, like in high stake sports. Okay, we saw some really beautiful stuff with Caitlin Clark. We've seen some really great stuff, through some of the playoffs, and even in football, currently too. I think as you kind of move into photography, the high end is moving always more into kind of efficient commercial production, okay, commercial stills, and then as you kind of go back and forth, I think the independent creative, single operators on the motion side, and single kind of like one person crews on the photography side, the middle of that pyramid, that's where we're seeing a lot of interest and growth. And then of course down into the bottom of the pyramid, where you think of enthusiasts, hobbyists, amateurs, weekend warrior type creatives. That's a very big market as well, and that's continually growing, especially as we look at how cameras are being used not just for the purposes of selling images or selling video, but documenting and selling a different product. So if I'm a creative artist, for example, I'd be using a camera to create content to market not my photos or images, but the things that I'm making.
If you were to summarize the key point or points you want people to remember about Fujifilm, what would it be?
I think that Fujifilm on the camera side, our primary goal is to storytell. Our primary goal is to provide tools to individuals that want to get stories out and share their stories, right? We want to be there when you got a story to share, we want to be there. The optics side is we have some of the world's finest precision optics for broadcast, for cinema. We've been used on the world's most important moments, most important films, most important sporting events. And I think we're going to continue to be there. We really see such a value in supporting our creatives at the highest levels. And I think that I'm looking forward to seeing where the next 5, 10, 15 years go.